If you're looking for a mechanical keyboard for a Mac, chances are you have heard of Keychron. Now, Keychron has long been making keyboards that were dedicated to those of us that are Mac users. All of their keyboards came with the pre-installed keycaps that were dedicated to a Mac. Now, recently, Keychron has launched all of their Q series keyboards, which are a more premium version of all of their K series keyboards. I have here the Keychron Q2, which is their 65% variant of the Q series keyboards with a knob version. Let's talk about why I think these Q series keyboards are the best mechanical keyboards that you can get for your Mac. Now, this isn't Keychron's first series of keyboards that they've made for Mac users. Like I mentioned before, they have their long line of K series keyboards that a lot of us Mac users love. Now, their mechanical keyboards really took off because they're one of the first companies to make keyboards that were dedicated to Mac users. Now, yeah, you can use really any other regular mechanical keyboard, but there are a lot of these companies that don't support the drivers when it comes to macOS. Now, it's not only about the drivers. A lot of these off-the-shelf mechanical keyboards also didn't have the keycaps that match the same layout as a Mac keyboard. Now, the Q series keyboards are very customizable. Not only can you customize it to the fullest for the sound and feel of the keyboard, but you can also mod it out by using software and making macros to some of these keys. Now, I am new to the custom mechanical keyboard world, so I haven't made any physical mods to this keyboard, but I have mapped a few macros to some of the keys on here. Now, the software I am using is the VIA software, which is compatible with Mac, and it is free to download, so you can go ahead and set up your keyboard as well. One thing that sucks about this keyboard is that this keyboard is only wired, so if you are coming from other Mac keyboards that are Bluetooth compatible, this one won't do that. Now, on the box it does say wireless and it is scratched off with a marker, so this could be a simple typo that they had to fix on their packaging, or it could mean that in the future their Q series keyboards are going to be Bluetooth compatible. Now, once you get in the box, I'm obviously recreating this as I have already opened mine, but you do get the keyboard, and then you also get a USB-C 2C braided cable with a USB-C 2A adapter in case you have an older Mac or you have a Mac Mini and would rather use a USB-A port. Now, you also get some extra screws. I guess this is in case you lose the ones that are already on the keyboard, but you also do get that in some padding. Now, another thing that's in here is some Windows keycaps in case you're a crazy person and you prefer to use Windows. Now, once you pull out the rest of the foam padding, down underneath you do get some extra tools in case you want to mod out the keyboard itself. You get a keycap puller in case you want to switch out the keycaps of the device, and then you also get a switch puller in case you don't like the switches that come with the Q2. There are also other tools in there like a screwdriver and an Allen wrench in case you are looking to fully customize this keyboard and you want to open it up and change some of the other components on the inside. Now, if you're looking for a keyboard that sounds great without any extra mods done to it, this is the keyboard for you. You're not going to need any of these extra tools to open it up because it sounds great just the way it is. Here is a sound test comparing it to the Logitech MX Keys, which is another popular keyboard for us Mac users. I am also comparing this to the MacBook keyboard that is on my 16-inch MacBook Pro, also for a comparison. Now, as you can see, this keyboard sounds really great. It isn't clacking and it doesn't rattle like some of those other gaming keyboards or stock keyboards that you can just get straight off the shelf. Being a 65% keyboard, the Q2 doesn't have any of the function keys up at the top. But just because they aren't there physically doesn't mean you can't access any of those functions. You can simply switch to the different layer which has those keys mapped to certain functions by holding down the F1 button or key button and then clicking any one of the number rows, and it goes ahead and does a certain function. Now, if you don't know exactly what those function keys are, if you can't memorize what a Mac keyboard looks like, using the VIA software, you can see exactly what that layer is mapped to. So you can go ahead and start memorizing which ones are your volume buttons and which ones are your pause, play, and skip buttons. I did get the Q2 with the knob, and the knob is automatically mapped to the volume button, which is honestly really great for adjusting the volume. It's very intuitive. You always just adjust the volume by twisting it to the right or twist it left to decrease the volume. Now, I do like this keyboard because it has a much smaller footprint, especially to a full-size keyboard like my Logitech MX keys. And also, I don't really use any of that top function row, so I like how small this keyboard is. Now, the knob can be mapped to do any other function. You can set any other macros, such as zooming in and out, or go ahead and adjusting a brush size if you are a content creator and you do a lot of work in Photoshop or the Affinity products. But unfortunately, I couldn't figure out a way to get the knob to perform certain functions or certain macros being app specific. Rather, it just does it in general anywhere you are. So if you do map it to do something like a brush size or to zoom in and out, it will do that in any app that you have open. Now, just because the keyboard does have a smaller footprint than the MX keys doesn't necessarily make it more portable. If you are new to mechanical keyboards, or if this is your first custom mechanical keyboard, something that will take you back is the weight of this keyboard. This keyboard comes in at 1.6 kilograms or just about 3.2 pounds. And this is almost the exact same weight as an Xbox Series S. Now, there are about 300 grams difference, but that's honestly not much, especially when you're carrying this around everywhere with you. I mean, the MacBook is lighter than this, so if you did want something portable, this is probably not the keyboard to go with. Now, one good thing about the weight is that it's supposed to help make this keyboard sound a lot better, which I can attest to because, like I mentioned, this is one of the best sounding keyboards that I have ever used, especially for a mechanical one with mechanical switches. It sounds really great and it sounds very buttery smooth. Now, if you are coming from a scissor switch keyboard, the height of this keyboard is also going to take you by surprise as it is quite tall. Now, if you do suffer from wrist pain, I highly recommend that you get a wrist rest for this. I use one myself and it honestly makes a huge difference. Now, before I used to try and use my Keychron Q2 without a wrist rest, and that honestly led to a lot of wrist pain and caused me to go ahead and sell that keyboard and move to a scissor switch keyboard. But now using this Keychron Q2, I got a wrist rest for it and it honestly works really great and it has given me zero problems. The Keychron Q2 is honestly such a great option. It sounds really well, it feels very premium, and it offers the most customizability that you can get from a Keychron keyboard. Like I mentioned, I have used the Keychron K2 before, and I even bought it at the same time as a Q2, and I still stuck with the Q2 because it is a better option. It does future-proof your keyboard in case you decide to really get into the mechanical keyboard world and you want to look into adding more mods, adding keycaps and different types of switches. So I highly recommend that you get this keyboard, especially if you are looking for a 65% keyboard that will work really well with your Mac. That is all I have for you today. Make sure you guys like this video if you guys enjoyed the content, subscribe to not miss any of my future uploads, and I will catch you on the next one.